KUGAN CASSIUS IFL TV in association with MTK Global. This is part 2. I'd say Frank hasn't gone anywhere since yesterday, if you're wondering why he's in the same
I've been sleeping here all night. He tied me to the chair.
Frank, it was after the Leicester show. It was quite an eventful post-fight press conference with not the real Danny DeVito, but Khurtsidze and Billy Joe Saunders. You were right in the middle of it. Yeah, it was quite entertaining to watch.
Well, it certainly was, and that fight's going to be on July the 8th, and we're to be doing a presser next week with that. And you know, I'm looking forward to that. I mean, he's an unorthodox, tough character. There's no doubt about that. And as I thought it was amusing with Bill. I think was he calling it Get Shorty. So we've got Shorty, and he's going to come and fight here. So it's going to be it's going to be I think a good fight. And I think it'll be a good fight for Bill. And Bill's got to look good, you know. He's got to get the bit between his teeth now. He's had a lot of letdowns this year. I mean, and even on Saturday, the Canelo Alvarez fight. Alvarez and Chavez fight. I honestly didn't think they were going to make that Golovkin fight. I thought they were going to postpone it again. So anyway, they got it on. So Bill, whatever happens, Bill will fight the winner of that, providing he keeps winning. Whatever happens, because he's got that piece of the jigsaw that makes you a unanimous champion, which is the WBO title. So that will happen. I
mean, in a boxing world at the moment where it's very difficult to get an undisputed champion because of all the mandatories forced on at various times, but this seems to be the simplest but not simplest situation where one fighter's got 3 belts and the other one's got one, just one fight to be undisputed champion.
And excuse me, that's where we go. So it's going to be quite an interesting scenario. And you know, Bill now has been sitting around. He's been messed around. He was messed around by Golovkin.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Why?
Yeah, of course. We agreed the terms. We had the contracts and everything. And then after the fight he had in New York, they then said they didn't want to do it. And in some ways, I get that. I understand that because he had a tough fight. It was a tougher fight than he expected. He's been very busy, and I think they said, "Sod that. Let's give him a rest. Let's not burn him out in July. Let's go to the fight in September." So I get that if I was in the Golovkin camp. But in the meantime, Bill was sitting there with it's going to be quite a lucrative fight for him, and a fight that I think he would have given a fantastic account of himself with, because again, when you're fighting regular as he does Golovkin, you're in the gym all the time, you're training, and sometimes you can just peak and go over the top. And his last couple of fights, as much as I'm a big admirer of him, he was getting caught, and I think a couple of times he struggled a little, not say struggled, but he weren't happy with fighting a southpaw. And Bill's a natural big middleweight, and he's got a good chin, Bill. He's never been stopped or anything. So who knows? So now let them guys get their fight on in September. Bill's not going to be sitting on his backside. He's going to fight in July, and if he comes through that fight in July, he's going to fight out again in September and out again in December. He's going to be busy, and then hopefully get the winner.
What's the ideal winner for you and Billy Joe?
The biggest money fight would be against Alvarez, because he's a bigger box office attraction in the States, obviously, because he's Hispanic, the Mexican following and so forth. Either of them. The Golovkin one, in everybody's eyes, is that everybody sees Golovkin as a tougher opponent to fight than Alvarez, because he's such a punishing puncher. But I don't know now. I mean, whoever wins the fight, and when all the way through this, I've always thought that Golovkin would walk through Alvarez. I mean that with the greatest respect, but I'm not too sure now. I'm sort of seeing it, where it was like that, it's now like this to me.
It's a little bit more split than it was.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that's what's great about our game. It's all opinions and so forth, but I think it's narrowed now, that gap. And Alvarez must fancy it to do it, because they don't need it. They could just carry on doing what they're doing. He does big business, sells out every time. They can do bits, so they must fancy that job. They've probably seen what they feel a few chinks in the old G-man's armour. We'll see.
I know you don't like talking about this, but in recent weeks, have you heard anything from the Eubanks regarding a rematch?
I don't like talking about it.
No, I just might have.
No, I've not heard anything, thank God.
Nothing at all?
Not a thing, no. And I don't care if I never do hear anything about the Eubanks. What is there to hear about? He may be defending his IBO titles, so who knows? Is it IBO? Yeah. Yeah, he may be defending that soon. Who cares?
Okay, fair enough. Obviously, you announced via social media yesterday, I believe, that an agreement has been reached for the rematch between Liam Smith and Liam Williams, which is great news.
Yes, an eliminator for the 154-pound title, BO title, 154-pound, and Canelo's still the champion, so he's not vacated yet. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Maybe Miguel Cotto will do it, but whatever happens, one of those guys will be whoever wins that fight's going to have a fantastic. Well, that's going to be a fantastic fight. But then they're going to get involved in another super fight. So they've got everything to go for there.
What's the likely destination for that fight?
Don't know yet. We're trying to sort a venue and a date out.
It'll be in the second half of the year, obviously, yeah. So
I don't think it'll be till sort of August, because they both got bad cuts. So sometime around August, and it's what we want to get it on, and the fans want to see it. It was a great fight.
It was a great fight, and to be honest, after the fight, they kind of both said, including Liam, that he'd be open to the rematch, and that's exactly what's.
Well, that's what they're doing, isn't it? I mean, look, you want to be world champion. Both of them have got ambitions to be world champion. It ain't the end of the world again if someone loses a fight. Fighters get beat at the end of their career, but that is a guarantee. You could wind up becoming the world champion. It could be like Teti did a couple of weeks ago. You're fighting for that eliminator, and then the guy don't make the weight, so now he's to become the champion. That could happen. Anything can happen. But the most important thing, it gets them to where they need to be. And they're two quality fighters, and who knows, might wind up being a trilogy to fight. It's for me, it lived up to all its expectations. That fight did. It's a great fight to watch.
Just going back to obviously the July 8th show that you're going to announce next week. There were some quotes from Tyson Fury saying he's targeting a July return. Is that a bit far-fetched to think that he could fight on the same
If he gets his licence back,
yeah,
then why shouldn't he? It's quite a way off. He can. I'm sure. Look, he ain't going to come back and have a world title fight like that. That's not going to happen. He's got to get himself back. He's got to get his. He's been out the ring for nearly 2 years. He was out the ring the same amount of time as Klitschko's been out the ring. Because that's the last time both of them had fought. So when time he comes back, he'll want to get. He's obviously got a lot of weight to do, and he wants to be busy. And if you keep him out there, get him out there, get him into his tip-top condition, so he can show everybody what he's. Where he's at, get himself back into the position where all these governing bodies are going to have to give him some preference, because he vacated their belts. He didn't lose his title in the ring. He vacated them, and they must show some understanding as to the issues that he was going through at the time. His personal issues and so forth. So hopefully there'll be a lot of sympathy for that, and they'll reinstate him to where he should be, which is the worst case, the mandatory challenger to all these various guys.
Okay, well, like I said, you possibly may have a press conference next week for Billy Joe Saunders.
For Billy Joe Saunders, and it's going to be a busy week next week.
Next week,
yeah.
What a great opportunity for Walsh against Gervonta Davis next week.
So that's got the ingredients again of being a fantastic fight. Gervonta Davis, Showtime. All the Yanks think he's the next big thing. He's got the money man behind him, FLOYD. It ticks all the boxes as far as publicity and everything is concerned. And then you've got Liam Walsh, who, let's get it right, should have fought for a world title a couple of times now, but had injuries and problems and hand injuries. But he's now in there, and he's in with this guy, and I think he's going to win it. I see that fight for me, and I like Gervonta Davis, but you know what it reminds me of? And I've used this analogy a few times with fighters. That is a Joe Calzaghe, Lacey. That's how I see that. I hope I'm right, but whatever happens, Liam will. If this fella can fight, if he's as good as they'll say, we're going to know, because he's in with a guy who I think is one of the best young boxers, or best boxers in the country. We
watched the face-off the other day. Obviously, you filmed it at the press conference, but we watched it the other day, and it was quite entertaining. But to see from Floyd Mayweather's side how kind of dismissive. I know it's probably a little bit of the Mayweather image, just to obviously back his fighter, dismiss the other fighter. And what did you make of that whole situation?
Yeah. I want to dismiss it, because as soon as that bell goes, If he thinks he's coming over here for a walkover, as soon as that bell goes, he's going to say, he's going to look to that corner and say, "But you told me it's not going to be like this."
You believe they're overlooking?
Yeah, of course they are.
Yeah.
So we're talking about his future fights, and that's great. Let them do it. You know, Liam don't. I had a word with Liam. I said, look, with Robert Davis and a couple of guys involved with him. I said, you know, we need you to get a bit more out there, but that's not his way. You know, he's not out there, you know, banging a drum and being, you know, all this Twitter stuff. He just doesn't do it, which is a great shame because he is for me one of our best boxers. But he comes through this, he wins this. You know, everybody's going to take their hat off to, because from what I understand, no one gives him an earthly.
What's Mayweather been like to deal with, Frank?
Been perfect gentleman. You know, we had good fun. He's fun, isn't he? You know,
and
fun.
Also Lennon Ellerby as well.
Yeah, it's fun, and we had you have a laugh, and it's nice to do things where, you know, boxing, it sometimes is the worst business and all the bullshit that goes down. And when I remember, you know, years ago, you're dealing with lots of the old established promoters. It used to be a bit of fun, as much as you know, your guy's got to beat their guy, but you were professionals. Now some of them are just, you like tear your hair out. But working with Floyd has been great, and he's great for the, you know, his name attracts more attention to the fight, and that's what I want. That's what I want. I want Liam to go out there and beat Floyd Mayweather's man. That's what I want him to do.
It must be quite refreshing over, you know, you deal with all kinds of people in boxing, and like you said, we've been there before. We've literally pulling your teeth and your hair out, but when it does go smoothly and everything.
Well, we haven't got there yet.
But, no,
you know what I mean. But to now,
right.
It's been good fun. But,
yeah.
But next week's going to be fun, and it's going to suddenly, you know, they're all going to get their serious faces on, and then we see where we are. But I tell you what, Liam is as cool as a cucumber. He's as cool as they come, and he fancies this job, and he is a good fighter. He's got a good boxing brain, very good boxing brain.
Look forward to it next week.
And a great undercard.
Yeah, I was just going to come on to that. The undercard is stacked full of a lot of your...
You know, Ryan's on there. He's fighting Ryan Walsh, and he's fighting Marco McCullough. That's a cracking little British title fight. And then we've got Anthony Yarde stepping up for his first title fight. He's going. He's fighting for the southern area against Chris Hobbs. So I'm looking forward to that. And he's done everything. I mean, Tunde's done a fantastic job with him. He's trainer. He's done a brilliant job with him, and I'm looking forward to that one. Daniel Dubois into his third fight. He's got a good, you know, I think a decent fight for him. He's supposed to have fought him on his debut, David Howe. So that's a nice opponent for him to be in there with and see how he's you know got on in his last few fights. Yeah, it's a very, very good card. I mean, I'm pleased we've got a great fight between two undefeated fighters. We've got Joe Pigfoot, who's from down in Southampton. He's fighting Aaron Morgan from Barking. So they're both 12-0. So as they always say, somebody's O's going to go. Somebody's going to lose their Bible.
Just going back to Anthony Yarde, you know, he looks the part. He's knocking everyone out, and his profile's raising. So
yeah,
I mean, big plans for him.
Yeah, I mean, you just think about it. He only had 11. I think it's 11 amateur fights. You know, and turned pro, and you know, and I think we've done a good job. And there's some question marks there with him. We know what he's good at doing, but you know, we're going to see what happens when he gets hit on the whiskers. What's he going to be like over 10 or 12 rounds? They're all questions that will be answered. But I'll tell you what, he is exciting, and he's a finisher. When he gets you in trouble, you have a problem. I mean, his hand speed is brilliant, and the way he picks his shots, he picks them so well. And when you think of the amount of, I mean, he's had 24 fights in his whole career, half and half amateur, half pro. That's a bit of a statement, you know, for a young guy to be where he's at. It's for me, I'm quite, you know, I think it's quite astonishing where he's at the moment.
Struggling to see how he's a light heavyweight.
But he is. He's a light heavyweight, and you know, he's not got an ounce on him, but he's solid. He makes the weight. He doesn't. He'd have to keep going back to the scales. They're very professional, and they bring him in on weight, and he does the business. You know, and as I say, he's exciting.
Definitely.
He's like a young Nigel Benn, the way he sets about
him. What's the situation regarding Terry Flanagan?
Well, it looks like we was hoping we had our mandatory out of the way when he fought Petrov, and but it's not to be. He's got to fight Vijay. It looks like that's going to be the fight. So we're going to meet. I'm meeting Terry, Steve Maley, and Steve Wood this week, trainers and manager, and we're going to sit down and work out what we're going to do. But you know, he's. We tried to make the Linares fight. Linares didn't want to fight him. Says he didn't want to fight Southpaw. His manager Joe Kazumi said. Sorry, his Japanese manager said he doesn't want to. You know, he doesn't want to fight him. So we made a big offer to Anthony Crolla. He don't want it. So we're not going to hang around. He's just going to get out there, be busy, and fight. He's got the longest undefeated record of any British boxer. World champion. What's he now? He's at about 6 defences, I think he is.
Is it 6?
Yeah. And he needs to get some credit for what he does. And
that division is red hot at the moment.
Well, it's lively, isn't it? It's lively. But I'll tell you what, he's the guy that none of them want to fight. None of them want to fight him because he's a hard fighter to beat. He's a hard fighter to beat. And as I say, you know, he'll get there though. He'd get there, he'd do it. It's a bit Joe Kawasaki about him, you know. It's like suddenly, you know, Joe Kawasaki was a sort of 12-year overnight sensation, and I think the same. It's like Terry. He'd suddenly click on with the public, and it'd be great for him.
Can you see a situation where he possibly moves up in weight before any of these?
Yeah, I'm sure he will move up in weight in time, you know. But at the moment, he's not going. He doesn't need to do that at the moment. I'm quite sure he will do. He's quite solid, isn't he?
We shall see what happens. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about, Frank? Or
no, I'm going to do my best though with Kiko's manager, see if he can get this ban off, and I'm going to work hard on it, mate. See what I can do.
Yeah, I've got a little 20-inch at home. I can watch it off.
Well, we don't know about your sex life, do we? Keep that to yourself. There's kids watching this.
Yeah, all good. But like I said, we've got Leeds this week. And then on to Show Me the Money.
Yeah, so we're all looking forwards.
Show Me the Money, yeah. Absolutely. How's the tickets gone for Leeds and
gone very well, yeah. Good. They'll be, you know, I'm hoping they're going to be completely sold out. Yeah, they're going well, so that's all good. You know, look, we've just started with BT. I mean, what we've done 2 shows now with BT, so we just started with them. It's about building now. Building on that basis, you know, we worked hard to build BoxNation. Now we've evolved onto the BT platform, and it's a building process. And bring these young fighters, you know, like Liam Woodstock's, you know, guys like that, bring them through. Zelford Barrett's. There's some great young fighters out there. You know, this time next year, everyone's going to be talking about them. So
definitely.
And you know, Liam Woodstock, I thought looked brilliant a few years ago, and you get down the line, him and Zelfa. That's going to be a fight.
And their mates as well.
And their mates, yeah, but look, they're mates. Richie Woodall and Kawasaki were mates. That's business. That's what it is. And you'd have thought before the fight that Anthony Joshua and Klitschko were best mates. But it's business, isn't it? That's what it is. They're fighters, and they understand that, and they work. And those fights, you build them up and build them, and suddenly you've got something special for the fans.
All right, Frank. Well, listen, thank you very much for talking to IFL TV. We'll catch up with you. Obviously, I'm going to do a bit of press conference and Wayne, and then you can see what you do about Saturday.
Okay, mate, we will do that.
I'll do a joking about this, Frank, because I never know with you.
Listen, mate, you know, you and your 20-incher.
Let's talk about my TV screen at home, obviously, Frank.
Oh, so right.
Frank Warren, thank you for talking to IFL TV.
Right then, my son.
Thank you very much.
So we don't worry. I want to get you a couple of Tizer bottles to look through from outside.
Good man. Thank you very much, Frank Warren.